There are a lot of examples of zombies in Star Wars, and we recently got to see them make a prominent appearance in Ahsoka. But what about other classic horror monsters? Are there vampires in Star Wars? Yeah, kind of. Many of them fed off of the Force or life energy more so than blood, but I do want to talk about the Anzadi species first. They were a race technically created for A New Hope in the form of the background character Danik Jericho. Like vampires, they were said to be incredibly old, living for centuries. They supposedly had no pulse and no body heat, and they survived by feeding off of other beings. They had proboscises concealed in their cheeks, and they could use them to suck the brains out of the noses of their victims. They were stronger and faster than most beings and could entrance their victims with hypnosis similar to a vampire. So yeah, that's pretty similar to what we would normally think of as a vampire, except they preferred brains to blood. Other vampiric creatures in Star Wars preferred to feed off of the Force itself. In the Screaming Citadel comic arc, we met the Queen of the Screaming Citadel, who appeared humanoid, but was revealed to be under the control of a Force-sensitive parasite that would feed off of the life energy of her subjects. The Legends role-playing sourcebooks told stories of another Force vampire, a fallen Jedi Knight who lived just before the Clone Wars. A sect of Jedi called the Order of the Silver Jedi attempted to create a symbol of the light side of the Force in Tel Angor, but their experiments backfired, and instead they created a creature that fed off of the Force and needed it to survive. He was able to draw the Force out of others with his hands. The energy gave him superhuman strength and the ability to send out waves of terror. That's not completely dissimilar to the Shrieker Ray or the Eaters of the Force from the High Republic era. I would not consider them to be vampires, but they do feed on those who use the Force, pulling the life out of them until they are nothing more than piles of dust, and they had the ability to overwhelm Force users with fear. Star Wars Legends also tells us of energy vampires. No, not like Colin Robinson. The Countess Regine only appeared in one issue of the Clone Wars adventures, but she was absolutely inspired by classic vampire tales. There's a story in the Dark Legends anthology that features the Grand Inquisitor as a Nosferatu-like character, but he and the Powan people are not vampires. It's just a fun twist on the fact that he kind of resembles that classic vampire. And finally, I have to talk about the second issue of Tales from Vader's Castle, which is completely inspired by vampire stories. Obi-Wan Kenobi travels to a planet where a mysterious Dark Lord has taken over a local fortress. He sends out his minions, which are basically huge beefed-up Minocs. One of them infects a clone trooper with its sickness, and they transform. Obi-Wan meets the lord of these creatures, Ravna, who is in league with Dooku. But Ravna infects the Sith Lord, turning him into a vampire as well. The two creatures of the night battle, and Dooku comes out victorious, which breaks the spell of transformation from Ravna's infections. The whole story is a reference to Christopher Lee's many times playing Dracula in the old Hammer horror films, and the title of the comic, Count Dooku, Prince of Darkness, is an homage to one of those movies. But those are the kinds of vampires you can find in Star Wars. I hope you enjoyed the spooky-styled video as we approach Halloween. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.